Hello, my name is Marek Rudak, and the goal of this video is to ignite your heart to lead in personal and professional relationships by today reflecting on surprising ways to teach confidence. This video is actually inspired by my recent visit to Betta Academy, which is a charter school. Long story short, about a month ago, I went to this donor event where I came across these kids who appeared to be high school, middle age, but they were super confident. They shook my hand, looked me in the eyes, and I thought to myself, wow, when I was their age, I wasn't even in the same galaxy. And so that made me really curious, like how is it possible that all these kids are so comfortable in this pretty tight setting? It was one of those River Oaks houses. Even I felt a little bit uncomfortable. As it turns out, the guy who invited me also happens to be on the board of that school, and he invited me to do a tour of the Betta Academy, which was a couple of weeks ago. And I'm really glad I went. I mean, there's a lot of things I saw over there, but in this time, I'll share with you like one thing that really touched me, which was whenever a student was called by the teacher to answer a question or to give an answer or whatever it may be, he would stand up on the chair. Keep in mind, this is an 8-year-old, stands up on the chair and says, "All eyes on me." And the kids say, "All eyes on you." And then before he starts talking, actually looks at everybody's face to make sure they get their attention. And then the kid starts talking. I thought to myself, wow, isn't that a great way to teach kids to give and receive attention? And that made me wonder, how can you translate that into adult lives? I mean, obviously, we're not going to be chanting to people, "All eyes on me," but can't you apply that same principle into the adult life? And those principles make you feel confident as well as as a byproduct of you feel more confident, you come across as a more confident person to the other people. And to that, I say yes. What I'll do is I'll give you two simple techniques, one defensive, one offensive, if you will. I'll explain the offensive when I get to it. So when it comes to the defensive one, this actually I stole from William Ury, who is an expert negotiator. I think that's how you say his name. And he talked about how whenever he heard something that upset him or offended him, whenever he responded right away, it typically deteriorated the negotiation. And so what he found helpful is to, whenever he hears something that upset him, is to give himself a few seconds break before he responds. And so what he found helpful is what he called going to the balcony, where he basically imagined himself being on a balcony, looking at this piece of scenery. And those few seconds with that image in mind would allow him to come back to the conversation and say something that's constructive rather than something that might be said off the cuff and send the negotiation downward. So here's one thing, especially given the holiday season, whenever you might be in a social setting and somebody says something that might offend you, go to the balcony, imagine a peaceful scenery, and then respond. And you'll find that after you go to the balcony, you'll be in a much better position to respond in a way that builds a relationship. Now, the second one is what I call offensive, but offensive as in ways to advance the relationship, whereas the other one was more about stabilizing it, is ask the other person to talk about themselves. Just ask questions about the other person. Because here's the thing, don't we all like to talk about ourselves? So how about giving that gift to the other person? Just ask the other person, ask people questions so they talk about themselves. Because here's the thing is that when you ask the other person about themselves, that takes a lot of pressure off of you. So you appear a lot more confident. And also other people like to talk about themselves. And so by default, they'll feel a lot more confident because they're talking about the things they know about, which is themselves. And that's going to build and improve the relationship, move it forward wherever you're at, whether it's with that relative that you're not so close with, the person who doesn't have the same opinions, or maybe the person at the workplace. So my friends, I know that Christmas is around the corner tomorrow. I want to wish you a very Merry Christmas. I hope those techniques help you in your personal, professional settings. The defensive one of going to the balcony, and then the offensive one of asking the folks around you to talk about themselves. And if you have any, if you need any help or you have any questions about how you can improve relationships to improve your life, because when we improve our relationships, we feel a bit better about ourselves and a lot of things tend to fall into place. Please go to cs1mindset.com, sign up for a complimentary relationship, and you will not regret it. Until next time, God bless and talk to you soon.